You think you know T.I. and Tiny? Think again. Behind the glitz, the fame, and all the Instagram perfect posts, there's a story the world has never seen. Tonight, we're going deep into the family secrets, the hidden trusts, and the shocking revelations that could shake one of hip-hop's most powerful couples to the core. What happens when money, trust, and loyalty collide? When someone you thought you knew is hiding more than you could imagine? This isn't about music, awards, or chart-topping hits. This is about what happens behind closed doors, when secrets surface, relationships are tested, and power dynamics shift in ways you would never expect. In this video, you'll see Tiny discovering documents she never knew existed. You'll witness the tension between T.I. and Tiny as questions of transparency, control, and betrayal come to light. And yes, we're talking about hidden financial moves, unexpected family influence, and decisions that could change everything for their household. And the most shocking part? This could impact their public image and the way fans see them forever. So buckle up, because this story isn't just gossip. It's real, raw, and revealing. By the end of this video, you'll be asking yourself, how well do we really know our favorite celebrities? And more importantly, how far would you go to protect your family when the truth threatens to unravel everything? Stay tuned, because what you're about to see is drama like you've never witnessed before. The cameras have always shown T.I. and Tiny as the ultimate power couple, celebrated across the hip-hop world. But behind the glitz, the red carpets, and the award shows, tensions have been quietly simmering. Tiny had begun noticing discrepancies in financial statements and private family decisions that hadn't included her input. At first, she brushed it off as oversight, but when certain documents surfaced, she realized there was more to the story than met the eye. King Harris, a trusted family advisor, suddenly became central to the growing unease. He had access to sensitive financial records and personal information, yet his handling of these files raised questions about transparency. Tiny, holding the tablet in her hands, felt blindsided. For someone who had been a partner in everything, from investments to public appearances, she couldn't understand why certain decisions were being made without her knowledge. T.I., though confident in his judgment, began to feel the weight of her concern. Trust was being tested in a way that even years of marriage hadn't prepared them for. The tension escalated quickly. T.I. defended his choice to rely on King Harris, insisting that he had handled everything with discretion and the family's best interest at heart. Tiny, however, was not satisfied. The secrets hidden within the documents hinted at potential risks, financial missteps, and decisions that could have far-reaching consequences for the family's reputation. The discussions weren't just about money. They were about loyalty, trust, and the power dynamics that had quietly developed over time. Family members began to step in, each offering their own perspective, but also complicating the situation further. Some sided with T.I., warning him about public exposure and media scrutiny. Others empathized with Tiny, understanding her frustration over being kept in the dark. The balance between private family concerns and public image was precarious. Every argument, every decision had the potential to explode into scandal, and both T.I. and Tiny felt the pressure mounting. Amid the conflict, the emotional stakes were higher than anyone could anticipate. T.I. wanted to protect the family legacy and maintain public perception, while Tiny wanted clarity and honesty. The children's well-being was a constant undercurrent, and neither wanted the private disputes to spill into the public eye. The couple realized that their marriage was under scrutiny not just by fans, but by the very people they trusted to help guide them. King Harris's involvement became even more critical as Tiny dug deeper into the documents. What initially appeared as routine family management now revealed patterns and decisions that needed to be questioned. Tiny felt an increasing need to confront him directly, to understand his motives and whether he had truly acted in the family's best interest. Meanwhile, T.I. struggled to mediate, torn between defending someone who had been loyal for years and acknowledging the legitimate concerns his wife raised. As the days unfolded, the tension between them grew. Every phone call, every email, and every meeting seemed to carry hidden implications. Fans who had once admired the couple's unity were beginning to sense cracks in the armor, fueled by whispers, leaks, and speculation. Behind closed doors, though, the real story was about more than just rumors. It was about miscommunication, misplaced trust, and the struggle to balance love, family, and business in the high-stakes world of celebrity life. The foundation of the scandal is clear. Tiny is determined to demand answers. T.I. is caught between loyalty and responsibility, and King Harris's role looms larger than ever. The tension is palpable, the stakes are high, and the drama is far from over. Fans are left wondering, will transparency restore the family's balance, or are deeper fractures about to surface? The stage is set for confrontation, revelation, and decisions that could change everything. This is only the beginning of a story that mixes family, fame, and financial intrigue, where every choice has consequences and every secret threatens to surface. The leaked documents, hidden decisions, and the showdown with King Harris promise to shake the Harris family to its core. Tiny couldn't shake the unease gnawing at her. The documents she had uncovered painted a picture she wasn't prepared to ignore. Hidden bank transfers, unexplained expenses, and decisions that bypassed her input made her question not just the financial integrity of the family, but the trust she had placed in T.I. and King Harris. She spent hours poring over every line, every note, trying to connect the dots, trying to understand why she had been kept in the dark for so long. Meanwhile, T.I. felt the mounting pressure. He had always prided himself on keeping the family secure, on managing the public perception of their household. Yet now he realized that loyalty alone could not shield him from scrutiny, both from Tiny and from the public. Every time he tried to reassure her, Tiny's eyes revealed her skepticism, an unspoken reminder that trust, once cracked, is difficult to repair. The turning point came when Tiny decided to confront King Harris directly. She arranged a meeting in his office, a space that once symbolized guidance and reliability, now feeling like the center of the storm. King Harris maintained a calm, professional demeanor, but Tiny could sense his unease. Questions flew rapidly. Every clarification she demanded felt like a lifeline. Every vague response raised alarms. The conversation revealed small oversights, larger patterns of mismanagement, and moments where decisions had been made without the full consent of those most affected. Tiny realized the situation was bigger than just finances. It was about control, secrecy, and accountability. Back at home, the family felt the ripple effects. The children sensed the tension, the staff noticed the stricter tone in conversations, and even friends began to whisper. T.I. tried to maintain normalcy, but the pressure weighed heavily on him. He wanted to shield Tiny from the stress while managing his own sense of responsibility. He couldn't deny that some of the decisions had been his, but he also recognized the weight of delegating to King Harris, someone he had trusted implicitly. As Tiny shared the discoveries with T.I., their discussions shifted from casual concern to intense debates. Every revelation sparked questions. Why was this hidden from her? Was this negligence or intentional secrecy? Were there other decisions yet to surface? The couple was forced to navigate a delicate balance between accountability and emotion, trying to separate anger from fact while acknowledging that every misstep carried personal and professional consequences. Then came the leaks. Documents or fragments of them somehow made their way into public circulation. Fans and media outlets quickly speculated, creating a wildfire of narratives, many inaccurate, all sensationalized. Social media erupted. Fans who had supported the family's public image were now divided, some defending T.I., some rallying behind Tiny. The pressure to respond publicly collided with the desire to manage privately. Every statement risked feeding the fire, yet silence felt like surrender. Tiny's frustration reached a new peak. The idea that private, sensitive family matters were now public added urgency to her demands. She insisted on transparency, on not allowing King Harris's mistakes, or misjudgments, to jeopardize the family's reputation any further. T.I., caught between loyalty and the need to protect his family's image, agreed reluctantly. Together, they began planning a thorough review of all financial records and decisions. It wasn't just about reclaiming control. It was about repairing trust. As they dug deeper, additional layers of complexity emerged. Some decisions, once thought minor, revealed long-term consequences that could impact investments, brand partnerships, and legal obligations. Tiny realized that even the smallest oversight could have cascading effects, and every step forward required careful consideration. She became more assertive, more precise in her questions, and more unwilling to accept excuses. T.I. recognized the wisdom in her approach, yet feared the emotional toll it was taking on both of them. The confrontation with King Harris escalated further when Tiny demanded accountability. She didn't want defensiveness or ambiguity. She wanted full disclosure. King Harris admitted to some errors, clarified some intentions, but certain choices remained murky. The conversation ended with no definitive resolution, but it established boundaries. Tiny had made her stance clear. She would no longer accept secrecy, and any future decisions would require full transparency. T.I., though stressed, silently respected her firmness, realizing that the partnership he had taken for granted required constant care and vigilance. Outside the private drama, the media frenzy continued. Headlines hinted at betrayal, mistrust, and financial intrigue. Speculation ranged from minor mismanagement to intentional sabotage, leaving the family navigating a minefield of public perception. Every photo, every post, every interview became scrutinized, adding pressure to an already tense situation. The family's response, or lack thereof, was dissected online, and every attempt to clarify only fueled curiosity further. The stakes had grown exponentially. Tiny had asserted her authority, demanded accountability, and uncovered hidden truths. T.I. faced the challenge of balancing loyalty with responsibility, public perception with private reconciliation. King Harris's role had been revealed as pivotal, but trust had been eroded. The foundation of the family's image had shifted, and the path forward required careful navigation, strategic decisions, and honest dialogue. The story was far from over. What began as a quiet concern had transformed into a family-wide reckoning, affecting relationships, finances, and reputation. Fans were left on the edge, wondering, could transparency restore the balance, or were deeper fractures about to surface? Reveal hidden agendas and set the stage for confrontations that may redefine the Harris family legacy forever. The tension in the Harris household had reached a critical point. Tiny had spent countless sleepless nights analyzing transactions, emails, and notes that hinted at decisions made without her consent. Every discovery fueled her determination to hold King Harris accountable and demanded answers from T.I. as well. The family, once seen as untouchable in the public eye, was now under a microscope, both from the media and within their own walls. King Harris, sensing that the walls were closing in, tried to maintain composure. He understood that Tiny's scrutiny was relentless, and any misstep could not only affect his professional reputation, but also endanger his relationships with the Harris family. However, his calm veneer hid unease. Behind closed doors, he debated the best way to justify his actions, fearing that even small admissions could be blown out of proportion. He knew Tiny wouldn't accept vague explanations or half-truths. She demanded precision, honesty, and accountability. T.I. found himself in a delicate position. His loyalty to King Harris conflicted with his commitment to Tiny and the family's integrity. He wanted to mediate, to keep the peace, but each revelation made him question past decisions. He realized that leadership wasn't just about delegation. It required active oversight, transparent communication, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths. T.I. tried to reassure Tiny, promising full cooperation in reviewing every action taken by King Harris, but her skepticism lingered. Trust, once shaken, is hard to rebuild. The next confrontation was unavoidable. Tiny arranged a private sit-down with King Harris, laying out her findings in meticulous detail. She didn't just present numbers, she highlighted patterns, inconsistencies, and decisions that bypassed her input entirely. The conversation was intense. Tiny demanded explanations, challenging every vague response, dissecting every excuse. King Harris admitted certain errors, but his justifications left gaps that Tiny wasn't willing to overlook. This wasn't merely about mistakes. It was about accountability and respect. Tiny made it clear that moving forward, secrecy and unilateral decisions would no longer be tolerated. Meanwhile, the public narrative continued to evolve. Social media users and fans speculated endlessly, often inaccurately, about the family's situation. Each leak, each rumor only heightened the stakes. Tiny and T.I. had to tread carefully. Every public statement carried the potential to either clarify or inflame. The couple decided to limit media interactions, focusing instead on internal resolution. Their priority was clear: protect the family and restore order before external opinions could further destabilize the situation. Financial implications weighed heavily on both Tiny and T.I. hidden. Expenditures and questionable investments uncovered. During their review revealed the potential for long-term consequences. Contracts had to be reassessed, partnerships renegotiated, and oversight measures implemented to prevent similar issues in the future. Tiny, determined to assert control, insisted on detailed documentation of every decision and expenditure moving forward. T.I., though initially hesitant, realized that compliance was necessary to regain her trust and stabilize the family's operations. Tensions between Tiny and King Harris escalated when Tiny discovered a series of communications that suggested selective disclosure, decisions made without her knowledge, only revealed if consequences became unavoidable. The revelation was infuriating. Tiny confronted King Harris directly, demanding clarity on each action, each rationale, and each omitted detail. King Harris attempted to explain, but the gaps were evident. Tiny's frustration reached a breaking point. This was no longer about minor oversights. It was about the principles of transparency, respect, and shared authority. At the same time, T.I. faced his own reckoning. As he observed the mounting frustration, he realized that his own role in delegating authority without oversight had contributed to the crisis. He had trusted King Harris implicitly, assuming loyalty equated to competence. But the unfolding events highlighted the dangers of blind trust. T.I. understood that leadership required both delegation and verification, empathy and vigilance, trust and accountability, a lesson learned under intense scrutiny. The children, though shielded from specifics, sensed the tension in conversations and interactions. Staff members noticed shifts in demeanor and communication, further complicating household dynamics. Tiny, aware of the broader impact, pressed for immediate solutions, not just to correct past mistakes, but to prevent future fallout. T.I. committed to collaboration, agreed to implement stricter checks and balances. The family needed structure, clarity, and a unified approach to regain stability. A critical turning point came when Tiny uncovered evidence that hinted at hidden agendas, decisions influenced by motives that weren't aligned with the family's best interests. Some of these actions had financial repercussions, while others risked tarnishing reputations. Tiny confronted T.I., questioning why such actions had been overlooked. T.I., honest and reflective, admitted his oversight. The conversation, though tense, was productive. It marked the beginning of a renewed commitment to transparency and collaboration. The Harris household had faced a series of revelations that challenged trust, authority, and accountability. Tiny had asserted her position, demanding transparency and control. T.I. acknowledged his own missteps, committing to a more engaged leadership role. King Harris faced accountability for past decisions, understanding that moving forward required full disclosure and alignment with the family's values. Fans were left wondering, could the family emerge stronger from this ordeal? Would transparency and accountability restore trust, or had fractures formed that could not be repaired? The stakes were higher than ever, and the coming chapter promised both closure and dramatic confrontation, potentially redefining the family's public and private legacy forever. After weeks of tension, confrontation, and scrutiny, the Harris family began taking deliberate steps to regain stability. Tiny, now firmly in control of financial oversight, implemented detailed checks and transparent reporting systems. Every expenditure, every contract, and every decision would now be documented and reviewed collaboratively. No longer could unilateral choices cause mistrust or risk the family's integrity. King Harris, once defensive and evasive, started showing accountability. Admitting past mistakes was difficult but necessary. He accepted that trust could not be restored overnight, and that rebuilding relationships required consistency, honesty, and a visible commitment to the family's values. Tiny, though cautious, recognized genuine effort. She understood that forgiveness did not mean forgetting. It meant acknowledging corrective actions and allowing progress to occur. T.I. stepped into a more active role than ever before. Previously, he had delegated authority too freely, assuming loyalty equaled proper judgment. Now he became a hands-on mediator and overseer, ensuring that the family's business operations aligned with their shared principles. He also made personal commitments to Tiny, recognizing that emotional support and transparent communication were essential components of trust, not just in business, but in their marriage and family life. Public perception remained a critical concern. The media had covered every leak, rumor, and social media reaction. Tiny and T.I. realized that controlling the narrative required careful public statements, measured interviews, and avoiding unnecessary disclosure. The goal was not secrecy, but clarity, presenting facts accurately while preserving the family's dignity. Fans and followers slowly began to understand the situation more fully, appreciating the effort behind transparency and accountability. The family's children, previously affected by the tension, gradually felt a restored sense of stability. Conversations became calm and routines were reestablished. Tiny and T.I. emphasized unity and communication, reassuring the next generation that the household was secure and guided by fairness and honesty. For them, this experience became a lesson in resilience, integrity, and the importance of mutual respect. As the weeks passed, Tiny and King Harris worked on repairing their professional relationship. Strategic planning sessions replaced secretive decision-making. Meetings became collaborative with clear agendas, accountability measures, and shared objectives. Slowly, trust returned, fragile but growing stronger each day. This proactive approach not only prevented future missteps, but also demonstrated a model of responsible leadership to others in their circle. Financial stability was restored through careful auditing, renegotiated contracts, and prioritized investments. Tiny's insistence on transparency ensured that hidden expenditures or unilateral decisions would no longer jeopardize the family's wealth or reputation. T.I., supporting her every step, learned the critical importance of oversight and balance. Trust without accountability is not sufficient to maintain a household or business empire. The final reconciliation moment came during a family meeting. Tiny addressed King Harris directly. "I appreciate your willingness to face the truth and commit to change. But understand this, trust is earned every day, not assumed." King Harris nodded, acknowledging the weight of his past actions. T.I. added, "We're stronger together, but only if honesty, transparency, and respect guide every step forward." The atmosphere shifted from confrontation to collaboration, marking the turning point of the story. Media outlets and fans began to notice the change. Posts highlighting accountability, collaboration, and family unity gained traction online. Tiny and T.I. carefully curated updates, showing the family's journey toward transparency and leadership without sensationalizing personal struggles. Social media engagement reflected admiration, support, and a renewed respect for their resilience. By the end of this chapter, the Harris family had turned crisis into opportunity. They had confronted deception, faced mistrust, and navigated the intense public spotlight with a focus on integrity and accountability. Tiny's assertive leadership, T.I.'s reflective guidance, and King Harris's willingness to change created a blueprint for rebuilding trust, both privately and publicly. Accountability is non-negotiable. Transparency ensures long-term trust. Leadership requires active participation, not just delegation. Mistakes can be corrected if confronted openly, and honestly, emotional and financial transparency prevents future crises. Family unity and communication are essential to navigate public scrutiny. The Pandra story concluded with a note of cautious optimism. While past mistakes could not be erased, the Harris family emerged stronger, wiser, and more united than before. Their journey illustrated that even the most challenging scandals could be turned into lessons of growth, accountability, and resilience. If you've been following the T.I., Tiny, and King Harris story, you've seen firsthand how trust, transparency, and accountability can make or break relationships, both personal and professional. Now it's your turn to reflect. How do you handle conflicts in your own life? Are you fostering transparency and communication, or letting small missteps snowball into bigger problems? Think about your own relationships, your professional partnerships, and even your daily habits. Could a little more honesty, a little more collaboration, and a bit of oversight make a difference? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below sharing a time when accountability helped you resolve a difficult situation, or when a lack of transparency caused challenges. And don't forget, if you're interested in more behind-the-scenes insights from the world of celebrities, scandals, and family dynamics, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a deep dive. This story reminds us that everyone makes mistakes, but the way we handle them defines who we are. Stay informed, stay honest, and always prioritize integrity in your decisions. The Harris family's journey is proof that even the most public and intense conflicts can be resolved with the right mix of courage, accountability, and collaboration.